I'm going to tell y'all right now, if we don't have food on these shelves in 2 weeks, it's not going to be good. Crime rate is going to go to an all-time high.
I am terrified for the people of America right now because when people get hungry, they get angry. It does not take long. And I think that the government has been waiting to have justification to use the military where they want to. Martial law would accomplish a lot for them. And so triggering something like that with something like this seems to make some kind of sense in that respect. I am so worried for what's about to happen there. And at the same time, so grateful to be a Canadian.
It is going to be horrible. If people have to travel hours and hours and hours to go find a location that has food on the shelves, they're going to be pissed. Listen, the YNs are going to come out of the woodworks. And they're going to be coming, and it's going to be horrible. Everybody, not just them, everybody. Okay? Because if I don't have no food to feed my children, and I'm speaking of just any person, okay? If I don't have food to feed my children, I'm going to figure out how to get it. Okay? And I'm going to get it, and I'm going to get it good. Okay? So this is not going to be good. People in my videos are like, well, I'm just going to steal. If the groceries and all this stuff go up, ain't no food on, whatever it is, if I need it, I'm going to steal it. And I don't agree with nothing, but at this point, I'm just kind of like...
More tariffs on China are coming, so the trade war is going to escalate. Yes. Not de-escalate, escalate. And here's why. All purchases of Iranian oil or petrochemical products must stop now. Any country or person who buys any amount of oil or petrochemicals from Iran will be subject to immediately secondary sanctions. They will not be allowed to do business with the United States in any way, shape, or form. Who buys the vast, vast majority of Iranian oil? Yes, that would be China. China, yes. And yes, this comes just hours after Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, basically told China on X, of all places, hey, we're going to attack you. Yeah. Yeah. But hey, he didn't give them, any details. This isn't a signal chat thing. This is just an X thing. So this is different. And of course, all of this has led to this jump in oil prices today. Not a significant jump. There was heavy losses overnight, and oil's still pretty low. But, yeah. So there's a couple of scenarios playing out here. First of all, China's not going to stop buying oil from Iran, not anytime soon. No. So this is just basically another roadblock in the path to settling all this with China, because with the tariffs we already have on them, that trade is pretty much gone anyway. So secondary sanctions won't mean much, not to China. So there's nothing about this that encourages China to do anything with Iranian oil. Just not, because we're already stopping buying their stuff. And I'm sure the Trump administration thinks that this gives us some type of leverage over China. It doesn't. We've already played our cards. We've already played our hand. This results in nothing. We're already not buying their products. There's no leverage here. My question is this another manipulation type thing? Because we're literally tanking the economy while saying we're going to attack Iran. Tanking the economy has driven down oil prices. Attacking Iran will make them skyrocket, which in many ways would compound the effects of the crashing economy, right? Yeah. So we're crashing the economy because he wants everything to be cheaper. And he also wants to drill, baby, drill, which can't happen unless oil is more expensive. I think this is a manipulation thing, because if we attack Iran, yeah, we will definitely drill more. And that's a big thing to Donald Trump. because you will see oil prices go north of $100 a barrel if we attack Iran. But wait a minute. There's no lowering gas prices if that happens. This is so confusing. Striking Iran would likely precipitate in the largest war in our lifetimes. Likely? Yeah. There is no scenario where they don't retaliate, especially in many places across the Middle East. Yeah, this would turn into a large conflict. I guess we'll see what happens, huh? Yeah. Thanks.
Do you want to know the secret behind this trade war? We actually want this to happen, not just through this administration, but the entire political system and many of the CEOs in American corporation. Simply put, one is right now it's quick money to openly, trade behind the scene in the stock market. Second is that they are actually trying to save some of the American companies through tariff, essentially restricting Chinese industries to expand. But they struggle with investing in its own people and getting the corruption out of its own country. And that's why it's failing and this trade war is not going where it wants to be.
Trump firing his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, this morning only to then turn around and nominate him to be the UN ambassador a few hours later, I think is proof that the walls are starting to close in on Trump, and I do not mean that in a good way. I think there are a lot of people that would tell you that this is business as usual for Trump, that it's just standard chaos that's always coming out from the White House whenever Trump is the president. I actually think that what happened today is a pretty major deviation from Trump's normal pattern. Because I think that nearly anyone who has witnessed what Trump has been like as president would agree that one of Trump's most enduring character traits is his willingness to throw literally anyone under the bus in order to save his own skin. This is a man who would absolutely throw his own mother under a bus. And this was a pattern that we saw borne out over and over again during Donald Trump's first term as president. Probably the most famous example was Donald Trump hiring Anthony Scaramucci to be his press secretary, only to turn around and fire him 10 short days later. I mean, if you made a list of all of the people that Donald Trump threw under the bus and fired during his first term in order to scapegoat them for one thing or another, that list would absolutely be just miles longer than the list of people that worked for him during his first term that he's still on good terms with. So that makes how he has handled Signalgate a pretty major deviation from his norm. It's honestly kind of bizarre that Donald Trump has stood by every single person that was in that first Signal chat, and he's honestly doing that at great personal expense to himself. He very easily could have scapegoated one or many of the people that were in the group chat, made it very clear, I don't stand for this, I am more responsible, I care more about our troops' safety. He would have gotten incredibly generous news coverage had he done that. And I don't think that there's a single person in the world, including his own supporters, that would argue that, oh, Trump has just suddenly become this completely different person. He's just, oh my gosh, the amount of growth he's demonstrated over the last few years. Even his supporters would tell you he is the exact same person that he has been since 2016 and before. That's what they like about him. So then what has changed? Why is he not only not scapegoating Waltz, he's literally rewarding him and taking the fallout onto himself instead of deflecting it onto Mike Waltz? This is speculation on my part, but I personally think it's because Donald Trump has finally realized he has burned through all of the extra people in his orbit that he could use to replace the scapegoats. He went through so many of them in his first term. He burned so many of those bridges that there are now very few bridges left. And I think he has now realized I can't just discard people like used Kleenex anymore because I don't have a strong pool of people in the wings waiting that I can pull from anymore. I think that Donald Trump has finally started to realize that the walls are somewhat closing in on him. But here's what I think is the bad news. As much as I hate to say it, I do not mean that the walls are closing in on him as a good thing. Because if there's one thing that we know about an injured and cornered wild animal, it's that when that injured animal is cornered, that's when it's at its most dangerous. That's when it will begin lashing out in unpredictable ways in a last-ditch attempt to save itself. And I think Donald Trump is about to show us what that looks like for Donald Trump, especially now that his deportations and targeting immigrants has become increasingly unpopular with huge swaths of the American people. His approval ratings have tanked, and I think that's going to result in increasingly more and more unpredictable and genuinely insane attempts by him and his administration to change the narrative by throwing complete curveballs at the American people. And genuinely, I'm very worried about what that's going to look like.
I know you told me you voted for President Trump. What were you hoping that he would do?
I was hoping he would did something that made sense regarding the economy.
So I did my part and paid the student loans. They changed the terms of the student loans not once, not twice, not 3, 4, 5, a total of 9 different times over the period of 5 years. Fixed interest rates that they changed. And when I called them on the phone, they told me fixed doesn't mean fixed.
There's no way that you're upset that you have to pay a loan back.
Yeah, it's not about having to pay a loan back, as far as the actual concept of paying a loan back. What is so maddening and aggravating is that it costs so freaking much to get an education in this country. Why is education so expensive? Also, the days of a guaranteed job or place of employment after you get a degree or multiple degrees or advanced degrees or multiple advanced degrees is no longer the case. It's not an option anymore. So we spend all this money to educate ourselves, to go into a field of our choosing, and then we don't get to work in the field that we chose to get educated in. The system of education is broken in this country, and that is what is so frustrating. So it's crippling debt for people who are trying to better themselves, when there are other developed countries that provide significantly cheaper education opportunities or free education opportunities. Why is that so hard to understand? Meanwhile, billionaires and millionaires get breaks all the time, tax breaks. They get PPP loans from the COVID. There's so many things that the rich get. You can't offer that to middle class and poor people? Like, come on.
Hey everybody, Donald Trump has already issued pardons worth over $1 billion. Many of you have asked, what's the biggest pardon to date? That's the case of Trevor Milton. I'm Liz Oyer, the former pardon attorney for the Department of Justice. Trevor Milton started a company called Nikola, which was supposedly going to build the world's first electric-powered semi-truck. Milton raised hundreds of millions of dollars from investors. In the process, he became a billionaire. The problem was that Milton didn't actually have the technology to make this work. His company was a fraud. Milton created a video that supposedly showed a working prototype of the truck. However, it was actually just a truck being pushed down a hill. Milton was eventually convicted of defrauding his investors. The Justice Department was seeking over $675 million in restitution for his victims. But then, Donald Trump swooped in and granted Milton a full and unconditional pardon, wiping out all of that debt. Milton announced the pardon on social media. He said that Trump had personally called him to give him the news. He also made this statement. He said, "This pardon is not just about me. It's about every American who has been railroaded by the government." So how did Milton get this pardon? Well, he did two things that we know about. One is he made $1.8 million in donations to Trump's campaign. Two, he hired an attorney named Brad Bondi, who just so happens to be the brother of Trump's Attorney General, Pam Bondi. That turned out to be an excellent investment because now Milton has a pardon worth over $675 million.
You ever wonder why in America public transportation is seen as something for desperate people? Meanwhile, in other countries, it's just called transportation. Yeah, that's not an accident. It's by design. In countries that actually care about their people, you can hop on a bullet train in Tokyo and be clear across the country in under 2 hours. Clean, quiet, fast. You can take the metro in London, Paris, Seoul, full of business people, students, and tourists. And nobody looks at you like you failed at life. You can ride a train in Switzerland so smooth it feels like you're floating. Public transportation everywhere else is a basic right. It's a flex, it's efficiency, it's pride. But here, if you say you ride the bus, people are going to look at you like you're announcing some sort of personal failure. Because in America, public transit isn't built to move people. It's built to shame them. And it didn't just happen. After World War II, when America started building its shiny new suburbs, they made one thing very clear. Car equals success. Bus equals failure. They funded highways, gutted trains, and they built suburbs that you physically could not live in unless you had a car. And who got left behind? Black, brown, poor, immigrant, all of those communities. They carved highways straight through Black neighborhoods, destroyed homes, businesses, churches, just to make sure that suburban America could drive past poverty without having to look at it. They didn't just abandon public transit, they weaponized it. Meanwhile, other countries were building high-speed rail and efficient bus systems, city planning designed for people, not just cars. Germany built trains that connected villages to major cities, with 2-minute delays at worst. Japan built bullet trains that have carried 10 billion passengers without a single fatal accident. Singapore built a transit system so fast and clean, you could eat off the floor. And what did America do? Cut bus routes to poor neighborhoods, let subway systems rot, made sure that you could spend 2 hours waiting on a bus that might not even show up. They turned transportation into a poverty stamp. Because here, if poor people use it, they defund it. If rich people use it, they rename it infrastructure innovation and slap a ribbon on it. Public transportation didn't fail because America couldn't figure it out. It failed because they decided that people like us weren't worth the ride.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Like, really think about that for a second. Like, when you're driving, if you're not in, like, Florida or California or the coast of, like, Oregon or whatever, it's like, this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Europe and Japan and all of the architecture, like, across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why don't we have, like, rose gold fucking buildings and, like, why does the Kmart's and, like, all of the stores look like shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine, like, look at China. Like, Shanghai, like, the coast, like, all those videos you see, that's, like, no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have, but it just looks like, ugh, you know what I mean?
This woman lied straight to our faces. Straight to our face. She told us that Trump would invite a recession by the middle of the year. It's the end of April. Okay? He's already invited it. God, I miss her.
The month of April, that's the end of the surge to pad inventory. Hey, right now, we're projecting next week's volume to be down by 35%. Ship sailings, 17 of them have been canceled out of a schedule of 80 or so. That shows that the drop will be precipitous and fast. Wherever you're watching or listening to this broadcast right now, likely you're looking or wearing at something that was brought in from overseas. 90% of trade moves on water, 45% of our business here at the Port of Los Angeles is with China. Whether it be furniture, electronics, appliances, clothing, and footwear, the American consumer will be affected with less choice here in the weeks ahead on store shelves and online buying platforms. And likely, prices will rise. These tariffs will be passed on in cost structure to the American.
They said I was fear-mongering when I told people that the shelves are going to be empty and the selection will be a lot less. Now that you heard it from the LA dock director, I hope this proves that I wasn't fear-mongering. But I'm sure the MAGA crowd is still going, oh, we don't need the Chinese stuff. Like, bro, shut up. Half of that port's business is in China. Where do you think your Walmart haul is made from? Nebraska? Trump is like scamming all you MAGA supporters, all you Trump supporters. He's jacking up the price and now he's blaming Biden. And all you dumbass are like cheering for it. Yes, Trump daddy, punish me, punish my paycheck. Man, I need to turn MAGA if it's that easy to finesse you guys.
Is anyone else experiencing chaos paralysis? Like, I'm hearing about empty ports, soon to be empty shelves. I can't bring myself to do a goddamn thing about it. Like, I have no will to shop for supplies. I have no will to mentally go down the path of more chaos, more problems, more headaches, more loss. I know I should stock up on paper products and things we can run out of. I am just exhausted.
Well, it has officially happened. I have been personally impacted by the tariffs. I am going on a trip and I wanted to look cute on the trip, so I ordered some clothes, okay? I thought I was all good. I placed the order at the end of March before any of the tariff stuff happened. I ordered it from the UK, not a big deal. Actually, doesn't matter where you order it from. Matters where it's made. So I got hit with this hot little bill from FedEx, $372. Of that $372, most of that is coming from one particular item. I ordered this cute little sweater vest. See this picture here? Made in China. So my $58 sweater vest went to almost $200 because of this 125% tariff for Chinese goods, because it was not made in America, it was made in China. These tariffs don't affect the companies. They're just going to pass the cost on to us. I took economics in college and it's been a while, but tariffs are bad economic policy, and that's a hill I'll die on. Well, I didn't vote for this. Why do I have to find out?
They're getting absolutely hammered in China.
China, you're good over there, right? I know this is an unnecessary wellness check. You might be a little tipsy from his propaganda, but hardly hammered. China, let's just be honest. This man either knows nothing about tariffs or he's playing the United States like a fiddle and blaming you guys for the noise. But don't fret, because by dinner tomorrow, he'll be on True Social saying that Canada invented tariffs and we owe him royalties. Good night.
Britain suddenly gets tough on China as it craves a Trump deal. No surprise, Britain and US has been allied, even more so than US and Canada. Maybe 52nd states?
So everybody's freaking out because our American ports are beginning to run a little dry. But what nobody's telling you is the reason why they're looking dry. Because they used to be flooded with Chinese exports. And if our ports here in America are looking dry, could you imagine how the ports in China are? Amongst thousands of ships that are disabled because they have no...
Actually, you're right. I actually agree with you. I actually talked to the Shanghai Port Authority last night. I made a phone call because I speak Chinese and you don't. I called them and asked some of the details, what's happening there. They actually want me to explain this picture a little bit better. So look at all these triangles. They're moving, right? It's not. They're not really actually moving. All this boat, because they're supposed to go to America, now they all still stay in the water. And because they stay so long, they all rusted and sank. They sank into the water and they're all moving around with the tide pushing them away. That's why it shows on triangle. That's why the satellites look at it is moving, because they're moving around with the tide. And all the round dots, they already sink to the bottom of the water in the ocean. They're already at the bottom. They can't move. That's why they stay there still. And because a lot of people complain to the Shanghai Port Authority that the dolphins and the whales are not happy about all the boats. So the port decided all these sinking boats, they're going to turn them into coral reefs. So the new project for the Shanghai Port Authority is Water World 2030. Please help us, Mr. Trump. We need help. Thank you. Bye.
China's cross-border tourism explodes for May Day 2025. Hey, travel lovers! This year, China's May Day holiday is breaking all tourism records. So let's look at where international travelers are flocking to. For international visitors coming to China, the data skyrocketed 173% compared to last year, according to Trip.com. So why this massive surge? That's because Chinese culture is trending worldwide. TikTok is filled with videos of Chinese cuisine, ancient cities, and cultural experience. And plus, China has seriously upgraded its tourist experience. So China has dropped a 240 hours visa-free policy that is 10 days to explore. Also for platforms, they now offer bilingual customer services, detailed food maps, and cultural experience packages so that independent travel is so much easier. Next, let's talk about shopping. China's instant tax refund system. Buy something over 200 yuan, that's basically $27. And then you can get your cash back in 5 minutes at the store immediately. Consumers are literally using the refunds to fund their next shopping spree. So, where are the hottest destinations? Number 1, Shanghai, the modern metropolis. Number 2, Beijing, home to the Great Wall and Forbidden City. Number 3, Guangzhou, dim sum paradise. Number 4, Shenzhen, tech innovation hub. Number 5, Chengdu, panda capital. Number 6, Chongqing, the 3D mountain city. Number 7, Qingdao, coastal beauty. Number 8, Hangzhou, the Westlake paradise and home to DeepSeek. Number 9, Kunming, it's called the eternal spring city. And number 10, Xi'an, the ancient capital with terracotta warriors. So where are those visitors coming from? So these are top 10 countries sending visitors to China. South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Russia, Malaysia, Thailand, United States, Australia, UK, and Vietnam. But Chinese people aren't staying home either. International flight bookings have hit over 1 million. That's up 25% compared to last year. And Chinese travelers are mostly choosing short trips and more diverse destinations. So whether you're planning to explore China's ancient wonders or jet off for an international destination, this May Day holiday is set to be the biggest traveling season. So are you traveling this May Day? Drop your destinations in the comments.
Do you want to know why we should care about the trade war? For the folks who really understand trade or economics or supply chain, I guess, it's actually really difficult to understand. But in a way, the United States of America put a sanction on itself. You might ask, what does that mean? Just look at other countries like North Korea, Iran, I think Cuba and Russia. They essentially got a sanction from US. And their economy is not great, but they're okay. Essentially, that's what's happening with the United States of America. So why should you care? Yeah, that's the direction we're going towards. And we need to know more about it. And hopefully we can change this course.